Fellow Dragons, it's Shane from Astral Dragon Gaming, and yes, we're once again back at the logging, because I've been sitting a bit of time sitting away from this. I've actually really not played this for a week. I've also had my little guy staying in his little home, which is accelerated time. Unfortunately, I didn't bank on how fast that would make us, so we are now 30 days or 29 days into the actual game. So the timer here is at 361, so it's time to see if we can get into the library because it's past the 28 days. And George tells me that when he gets bored, he sometimes eats rocks. Strange child. Alright, it seems that we've... I dream about a place beyond this cave, aren't we all? But we're stuck wherever we are. So let's see how far this has given us now. Bum, bum, bum. Ooh, I can climb it. Can I climb it? Can I? Oh, yes. Yes, 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 yes. Thank you, little droplet. Yes, you're a very useful little droplet. Without you, I would not have been able to progress this far. Alrighty. New things to do. It only took me X amount of days to wait. Alright, so where does this lead us? It does indeed lead us to the library. Yes. Question is there any books in the library? None can say, none can know, only time will tell. Alright, it looks like the entrance to the library. I can't wait to see what it holds. At least it's no slow opening. I can thank that, at least. Alright, let's see where we go. We are in the library. Yeah. And I don't think there's going to be much in the way of books, but... alright. Quite promising title. Hopefully it will live up to it. 9 books. 10 books. More books on the upper shelf. I am going to collect the shit out of all the books here. Up we go. Oh, I said the library has its own theme sound. Huh, who knew? I now have 11 books. Contains clues that I need. A book. Its cover is torn, but pages are all right. I hope the king doesn't mind if I borrow one of his books. A book will keep him in company at home. Welcome, friend. I can't talk. I talk to my books all the time. Do you belong here, book? I better take you to a safe place. Alright, so let's go downstairs and see what's down the bottom. I have a sneaky suspicion that you can go over in this direction, but we'll wait and see. Let's take it one screen at a time because this game is all about patience. The more time you take to learn something, the better it gets. Also, incidentally, for those that have been watching, I suddenly found out that you can actually up the gamma correction on this. And it was more a shock that I didn't figure it out in the first place because there's a little candle up there. And you have to click it. Like a lot of things in this game, if you don't pay attention to the little sort of corrections and changes, nothing happens. Alright. This book will be fun to read for sure. This book has dust all over it. It's like a good story will lay. Okay. A new book. I bet this one will be a thrilling read. A new book for my collection. It's not exactly in mint condition, but but it should make a pleasant read at home. What a shame to see a fine book like this on the floor. I will end this blasphemy. The door is blocked, but it would merely lead back to the palace. So I can't get rid of it. Alright. I will walk up to the doorway here and set it as my... well, the basic sort of waypoint for this particular area. But my god, it's so awesome to get this further. Just this one tiny thing. And it only took me a week to wait around for it. Oh. It's funny how if you don't get the direction right on the little mouse pointer here, it won't do what it needs to do. Get that coal, get the coal. More coal. Alright. I am setting this waypoint here because this is the one I want most. The library. I have been waiting for this for the 30 days. It's taken me a week to get here, thanks to the acceleration into my little room downstairs. But, a book. One day these pages will crumble to dust. I hope to get the chance to read them first. A book. I will be the first and only one to ever lay eyes upon these pages. Alright, let's see if there's anything beyond over here. Oh, nothing now. Let's see if we can go back here. Worst comes to worst. Hold on. I hate that glitch. Every time. Alright. Doesn't do anything. Good. Alright, we'll walk our way over here. Bit by bit, slow but sure. Alrighty. Make it an upward movement. Go up here. Now, if nothing comes of this, I'll just go back to my hovel and I will see what more useful things there are there. I have to read all the books. Not that I'll read all the books, but I finally got in the library, that's the main point. God knows that's a pain in the ass to try and achieve. Nope, nothing there. Alright, let's go back to the home. I absolutely love the fact that I got to the library finally. Now I have to figure out what I'm going to do after this point. Because library is one thing, but now what do I do? There are places I need to get to, but I need things to climb or things to lower myself down, so I need to make ropes somehow. How, I don't know. But I'll figure it out. Maybe. There are only so many things you can and can't do in games like this. Ah well. Thank God they got the automated movement thing. If that wasn't there, you'd never get anywhere in this game. You'd just be stuck in one spot. But the good thing is it tells you where most things are and it's obvious about where it's showing you where to go. So that's one godsend in this game. It could be a lot worse. I think the only other option is to see how far the Halls of Eternity go. And that's a disturbing thought. I was hopeful of one thing specifically in the library, that there would be at least one bit of wood to do things. But apparently I have to find the wood somewhere else now. Which is strange. I got plenty of moss to do with a lot of things, but now I have to find out where other things are. There is a different pickaxe to get. That's one I have to get. Other than that, I don't know. Aside from waiting around for the king to be done. The thing is, there's so many other achievements to acquire on top of this in this game. Like, there are almost like 100, what is it? 25 achievements to achieve in here. So I've got a lot so far. Like, there are other ones here. Bed's one. Birthday apparently is another one. Avid reader. So you need to read more. The cave. I don't know when I will have discovered every part of the cave, so I've got to discover. There's still crystals to collect. I will ever overcome it, so somehow I have to leave the dark somehow. And we have to dream of another place. So there's lots of different things to do in here still. As to how long it takes me to get there, yeah, well, that's another thing altogether, isn't it? Ever is the wondering and things that are life. But somehow I need to overcome a lot of these things. It's interesting how it finds pathways around things, finding them quicker or slower depending on what it's doing. But ultimately there is no fast pathway in this game. It's find it or you just go without, don't you? I'm enjoying finding all the pathways myself. But I'm more interested to see what happens, and I think that's what makes this game so much more tantalizing, trying to find out the answer to these things. And yeah, they're all very different and very unusual, and one day I will have the answer for them. When? That is the best question. But one day I will have the answer. There are caves up above that I can't access unless I have a different pick. So that's one problem at the moment. And then there is some other things I can't do because I've got to figure out things in order to bypass them. But all of it is strange, and all of it is wonderful, and all of it's unusual. It's just more a question of how much time are you willing to pour into a game like this. Some people, they have nothing but time. I unfortunately have a family and everything else, but I like to play these games in my casual downtimes to sort of add more interesting things to my game. But yeah, it will be an interesting day. I think one thing I need to work on this week is start working on more development of my game, add a bit more to the storyline, and just get used to it a bit more. Because I'm getting far in it, it's just I'm bogged down at the moment and I'm not sure what I want to do in order to get past more parts of it. Anyway, let's walk past Snorbags here and see what he's up to. I wonder if we're supposed to fill up the entire library. I wonder if we can fill up our entire own little bookshelf library. That would be great. But at the moment I can't do what I want to do. I will in time, it's just not right this instant. But it will happen. The Earth King still slumbers. He will wake up one day. One day. It's just more a question of when. But he will wake up, that's the main point. That is a mighty, mighty bookshelf full of lots of books now. I am really stoked on that. Alright, let's have a look and see how much or how little we have found. Another piece of charcoal. Thank you. Let's have a read of a book. Thoughts, Goose Girl, Spectres, Zachariam, Poems, Metamorphosis, Six Swans, Fable. Thus spoke Zarathustra, Animatos, thus spoke Zarathustra III, Iliad. Ooh, okay, that's not bad. Oh, we've got different parts of the Iliad. The Raven, classic book. The Speakings, thus spoke thing. Fables 2, Three Tales, The Golden Bird, Iliad number 28 to 18 to 26, Morella and Liag. So, when we say Iliad, how much of the Iliad are we talking here? That's 9 through to 13. The Iliad. Book of Homer. The Iliad of Homer. Yeah. In the War of Troy, the Greeks having sacked some of the neighbouring towns. Yes, taken from thence. Okay, so it's about Odysseus. Embassy of Achilles, yes. Okay, we're speaking about that. Do we have 1, 2, 3, and then 18 to 20. Book 9 of Argonauts, the Argonauts. Okay. Agamemnon, after the last days defeated, proposed to Greek to quit the siege and return to the city. And Diamond opposed. Yep. Okay, so that's the sacking of Troy itself. Okay, Aurelia, Plato's Sympathy. Okay, lots of Greek stuff amongst all this. Okay, my thoughts. Let's see, the king told me on last birthday, and the face told me, as long as there's, right, okay, we've got that. The face told me, warned me that I should never leave these caves. I wonder what he meant by that. Could dream of another place. Alright, so here we go with things that I've completed. The secret library somewhere. Yes, I've done that. I really need to read more books. My dream would be to find a book that never ends. Okay, I need to find a book that never ends. I read about the Halls of Eternity. Yes, done that. Okay, there's more colours. I definitely need more pictures on the walls, especially lice pictures. Why lice? Okay, I need a lice picture apparently. There are crystals. I need one more crystal or whatever. I could use some running water. Got that. Need of a bed. Luckily, I don't need to eat or drink. Grow some pretty mushrooms. I need to grow more mushrooms. Sometimes a beautiful melody is playing in my head. I wish I could play my favourite tune on my instrument to ease the pain in my solitude. Okay, I need to learn some certain music. Well, I can't think of anything else to write down. Alright. It's good to collect some thoughts and books. I still have several things troubling my mind that I could try and figure out. Okay, not a problem. Can we get over the floor here? What have I done? Here I am. Alright. So, here we are. I need to figure out a way of getting the mushrooms down, and I also need to figure out a way of other things. Apparently he wants a picture of lice. Okay. That's a louse. Well, again, louse. Louse. Okay. It's a friend. Okay, blue and black. Hand stars friend lamp. Blue and white. Portrait souls myself. Friend thing. Okay. Blue and red. Sea, eye, saw, moon, soul. Okay. Yellow. Let's draw that. See what happens. No, you can never have enough pictures, as they say. Alrighty. It would appear that I've done that. Alrighty. Let us go to the Halls of Eternity. We return once again to the Halls of Eternity! And God knows how long that's going to take me to get there. In the interim, we will walk there. And in the interim of me sitting here and whatnot, I will let you listen to the ambience and sounds while I go and get myself a drink. Pardon me. Oh, hello viewer, hope your day is treating you well. And once again we are in the longing, just slowly getting through it. The upside is I found the library today, I have more books on my shelf, but I still haven't figured out where I'm supposed to go from here. So, coming to a loggerhead and not figuring out where else to go, I think I was going to waste another half hour on trying to get through the Halls of Eternity. And see how far the Halls of Eternity actually go. The upside is, last time I went to the Halls of Eternity, I picked up a whole load of stuff that was really useful. So, who knows? Maybe I'll find a never-ending book in the Halls of Eternity. Actually, that would make sense if that's where that is. Like, my main problem at the moment is I just want one piece of wood. Just one. If I find one piece of wood, that means I can finally make the bed, and my home is complete. Mind you, I don't know what the bed does for George here, because I don't know if he sleeps, doesn't know if he's awake. I don't know what he does, technically. He gets lonely, he gets bored, he gets happy, he gets disappointed, but, you know, it's an unknown factor. The other option is I don't know if I want to take my pickaxe and just slam it against the wall that's full of treasure. And my greed goes, should I try it? My logical mind says, this game is not going to pay me back well if I do something in greed. This game has paid me back well for things when I'm patient and I wait and I understand that I have to wait for something. The only time this game really hammers you hard is when you're dumb enough to just do things, try and force it, because nothing can be forced in this game. Even getting that pickaxe took me the better part of half an hour of walking back and forth on one spot on the part of the map. So, who knows? We'll find out together, I suppose. It's the only way to find out. But in the Halls of Eternity, everything is the same the whole way through. The only thing I can think other than this is to go up to the pickaxe, go up to the mined area and start mining sulfur or something like that. It keeps on doing that. That one little glitch, it will just hold and it's like, and then move. I don't know if it's just me or it's the game itself. It could be my system. I'm running it off a spinning drive, that's true. I'm not running it off a SSD. Incidentally, donate to my cause and I will buy myself a full fat and 1 terabyte SSD so I can put all my games on it and run them at liquid smooth speed. I think that's what I'd build my next rig. It'll just be all solid state SSDs and I'll just use hard drives as long-term storage for old footage and whatnot. Mind you, the rate everything's going to be just solid state. You look at... The game is going really good. I am 39 days into the game now. It's getting there. I finally got to the library. And I'm really happy about getting into the library. I got another 10 books, but not sure what to do after this point in time. Barring anything else, Dark Cycle rule, I'm going to the Halls of Eternity and just going to do a long walk through there. Because really I'm at a loss of what else to do right at this moment in time. My thought was to go to that little treasure room and just hit my pickaxe at it and see if I could break the glass, but I'm thinking the game might just tell me, quite frankly, it's like, no, that's not what you're supposed to do, and just not give it to you. My real big problem at the moment is there are 3 areas that require some level of rope or something to climb up or down from it. and I can't get to it until I have that rope. And I don't know where to find rope. And I'm looking for one plank of wood to build a bed. Can't find that either. So, I'll get there. This game is nothing but time, really. But for anyone that does play this game, make sure you upgrade your room and speed it up. I only had to wait a week to get like 30 days wiped off the clock. Damn. How do you climb up things then? I know I had to use a spider for one part, but yeah. How far have you got through, Dark? And into the halls of eternity we go. Now this is a long walk here because I actually saved the point in which I last finished the halls of eternity. So this is pretty much me just walking along here for a very, 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 very long time. I still love the aesthetics of the Hall of Eternity. It just really does well as you're moving across and having all the different layers just move over each other. Yeah, no, you're doing well to get 130, 100, what is that, 90, no, 88 days in. How'd you crank the time to move that fast, or have you been playing it longer than I have? I bought it day one, but that's not saying a lot. Yeah. Also, expanding the base is a big must. Getting that pickaxe was a big, big thing once I got that. But yeah, pictures, books, anything that just expands the base and makes it more homely, just jumps it up. I was actually shocked when I was walking through here and found the horse head, so I could put it in the room as well. But I know technically this can't end, but at the same time I get the impression that there is a certain level of distance that you can travel in here before it becomes impossible. I especially think that because of all the things that I found in here. I found 3 books, 2 pages, the horse head, 3 rugs, 2 rugs, sorry. So I'm thinking there's more in here that I'm just not seeing it. Okay, where do I want to use rope? And when you first play the game and you can go literally all the way to the far right of the map, as far as you can go, and there's that pathway that leads backwards, there is an area where you go up and you had to wait for that stalagmite to fall down, and down below area there is an area that you can get into that has the second pickaxe, that's the area I want to try and get into, but I haven't figured out how to get into that yet. Because all it presents you with is a sheer cliff face, or there's a set of stairs that lead out to an outcrop above it, but you can't jump off it. So unless you can build something to get up there, that's the only way you can get up there. So I don't know. I think the last time I walked through here, my fingers started cramping. I had to hold the mouse button down so much. Oh, drapes! I found drapes! Comments on the cliff that moss will grow there. Okay, so moss will grow there so I could climb up it. I didn't even notice that. It matches the colour of my armchair perfectly. Alright. Hold on. Get out of it. Oh, you bugger. I didn't even notice that was there, but okay. Ooh, then this might not be just a complete dull playthrough of me going through the halls of eternity. That moss might have already grown there, actually, by now. Oh. That means I could almost climb up it now. That would be a bonus. I'll give this another couple of minutes of walking through here because the drapes was a new thing. Have you got the second pickaxe yet? Dark? Because, yeah. Oh, another book. Thank you. Oh, how interesting. Ah, cool. Alright. Well, that I will have to definitely look into. Book 23! Yay! Actually, I might do that now. Another thing. Dark, have you had this game freeze up on you at some point or another, or is it just my machine doing that? Because I have a tendency, I'm playing this, I'm doing it, and it'll just come to a point and it will just lock up sometimes. Not all the time, just every so often it will do it. Yeah. That's a developer thing then. Okay, that's not a problem. Because I can't think of why a game like this, that's all 2D based, would actually just lock up like that. And another book. Oh, we're cranking in the books at the moment. Bum, 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 bum. Yay, 24. Alright. We'll continue on and see if we can get one more spot. Get one more item. And then I am going to go check out that moss because that has inspired me now. It means, yeah, I can find something. Didn't even pay attention to the moss. Because I've been collecting it left, right and centre and I just didn't think about it. Ah, yeah, the connecting to server and telling server bits and pieces of information. That's a very true point. Yeah, I'm with you. Because I noticed when I had the internet sort of drop out at me at some point that it actually cracked the wobs, had trouble starting the game. and then the internet kicked back in and it was fine. But yeah, that's a very real possibility. This game may not be able to be played on offline. I haven't got the bed yet. I'm still missing one piece of wood. Arborealus, thank you very much for tuning in and saying hello. Hope you're having a fabulous day. How far into the game are you, my dear sir, madam, person, unknown entity behind the keyboard? Click, clock, clock, click, click, clock, clock, click, click. Ooh, one more book. Awesome. This Hall of Eternity is so useful. Paper! Oh yeah, more pictures. Nice. Alright. So, did I bookmark it? Not completely, but somewhere that was close enough. You need lapis lazuli for that, so you need to find enough lapis to get that. So I found one piece of lapis. I don't know how much you've found, Dark, but I've only found one lapis. It says it in the menu that you can get it by getting enough lapis lazuli. I think it's like 5 pieces of it to go with the coal. Yeah. So again, another one mystery. Now, there are sections in the upper... No one's finding more. Okay. Okay. Well, if the game gives it to you as in it's a thing you can do, then that means it must exist somewhere in the game. Like, this game is all about logical sort of premise and logical sort of things that join with one thing or another. So, logically there should be more than one piece. Like, you find that little section where the sulfur mine is, so I assume there's more than that. Speaking of that, there is an upper section where you get the spider and everything and get up there. Since you've got the second pickaxe, did you manage to expand those areas at all, Dark? Because there are sections that you can actually hit with the pickaxe to expand more, but if you don't have something that's stronger, you can't get any further. Yeah, that's possible. I don't know. It says granite, but if it says that, then that means there's no further you can go. There's nothing more you can do. But I get the feeling there is. So what's the purpose of getting the second pickaxe then? Because the first one, you can expand the base, you can mine stuff. A cliff? You mean to the very top section where you can't get out? A cliff? Where the hell's a cliff? Yeah, okay, you're talking about that one. Right. Yeah, there is that one. And that's the very top of the map, as you can see it. I'm assuming that leads to the outside world. Because at the very beginning of the game, You've got the king and you're at the top in a well in a forest area, and then it goes down below and the king sort of says, okay, goodbye, wake me up in 400 days, I'm really tired. So I don't know. So many questions this game raises. Every time you play it, there is that continuity of understanding and thinking about everything. I think the best thing about this game is having the ability to just wander around with your own thoughts sometimes. But then again, it is a very unique game in its own right. Like asking you to sit around for 400 days. Real or non-real, you still have to wait for an extended period of time to just finish this game. And even then, I don't know if you're finishing this game. Not to mention, we haven't figured out what George's birthday is. Dum, bum, 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 bum. How long did I walk in here? Yeah, I know. That's the interesting thing about this game in general, is that you have to question how far everything goes. Like, to be real, the guys that made this game went into so much detail about everything. Like loneliness, ideas of loneliness, what causes loneliness, the things that you come through with loneliness, trying to find answers, trying not to find answers. The whole game is just a myriad of little things, left, right and centre, just piled on top of each other, that you can't see unless you literally spend time with it. Like, I was shocked to find this room itself. And then I got back to his little home, the Shade's little home, and I was shocked again when I discovered that, hold on, that clock's not working correctly. And I thought, okay, it's a glitch in the game, there's a problem. And then it dawned on me the next day that, oh, inside the home, time travels in a different methodology as opposed to outside, and there's that glitch again. Very noticeable, that. Every time. I wonder if anyone's glitched this and sort of hacked it and learnt how to get further around. Yeah, I agree. A very philosophical game, this. I think, especially when you look at your book collection and notice that a large proportion of it is all Greek philosophers so far. You got the works of Plato, Theseus, and so many others that are just all great thinkers and writers. I think there's the Iliad, so who wrote the Iliad? Go on, brain. Homer, that's right. Homer wrote the Iliad. So you got Homer, you got Odysseus, you got Plato, you got Theseus, who spade, and so are the many pieces of work, and then you got Aesop fables and other things that are contained within. So, yeah. Yeah, I've read that. That's a good book, that Thoughts book. Leads you in some directions that you didn't think about when you didn't understand what you were supposed to be doing. I think I've gone back to it every time I've done a playthrough of this to have a look and see where it's saying something. But Yeah, I've enjoyed playing this game on many respects. I don't say I regret playing this game. I think it's one of the more enjoyable games I've played so far in the last couple of years, especially since I've been YouTubing and whatnot. Hold on, what? Shade sometimes leaves a comment at the last page of a book. So you mean if he's read a book, he leaves a thought at the end of the book? Because that would be fascinating. As in, he makes a comment of how he liked the book, how he thought of the book, or what it means. I have not noticed that, but I will have to definitely look at that now. Ooh. Once again, that strange things that happen that you don't pay attention to in this game. This game is very subtle. Sometimes almost too subtle. But I can see where this game would turn a lot of people off. I'm an old school gamer. I played all the original sort of LucasArts games and whatnot, and they were something that I loved the most, and especially those time-based ones. No, I knew the minute I read that, I knew it was 400 real days. That was my first thought. Actually, the first time I played the game, I tried to change the time clock on my game and then actually try and change it so it was 400 days later. Didn't work a damn thing. Yeah, it's a phenomenally interesting game to try and say, okay, we're going to run this game for 400 days and you have to play it for 400 days. And yeah, that was a mind-boggling thing. That's what made me buy this game straight off the bat, that one premise. I think my housemates look at me strange when I talk about this game. It's like, you're crazy. Why would you even play this game for 400 days? Like, why not? I can't really talk. I've had almost 600 hours in No Man's Sky, so... And they can't really talk. They play RuneScape, and it's like, there's a click fest that can take you months upon months just to get a few bubbles of experience doing one thing or another. That's the other thing. Personally, when I look at the Shade, he reminds me every time of Mr. Burns. Every time I look at it, it screams Simpsons to me. Mind you, the yellowing eyes, he might have a slight problem with too much drinking with that much yellow. But being a Shade, he can drink until he's dead, because he won't die. And he eats mushrooms. Yeah. It's like, Mr. Burns, Smithers, where are you, Smithers? Smithers, I need help finding my stuff. I'm just happy I got through to the library. That was the absolute one place I wanted to get to out of all this. And when it told me I had to wait a month to do it, that really teed me something fierce. I think the first time I realised how bad this game could be for waiting for time was opening up the second door to the upper floors in the caves, and it told me, oh yes, this will take 2 hours to open. And I just looked at that and I thought, no, it can't be right. After 5 minutes of watching it slowly, creakily open, and barely even seeing a line in the thing, I went, yeah, 2 hours. Okay, I'm done for the day. And I left the game and I came back later because I couldn't even contemplate the amount of time that would take. Also, developers out there, if you're watching anyone that's playing this game and you come across my video and bored enough to sit through the entire length of my playthrough and listening to me yakka, please understand, when you say matic and I say pickaxe, I'm talking about a thing to use for mining. You calling it a matic is a thing that reminds me of something that's used for gardening. Just word of thought here. Different names, different things. I call it a pickaxe and I think it's right. Right, this room. Have you tried to pop this open yet? Because I am tempted, but it gives me a sort of cursory warning. It's like, oh, do you really want to do this with your pickaxe? It's like, So it works? Because I was cautious when it gave me the maybe, maybe not part. Alright, well, other than finding the moss on the wall here, I'm going to be doing that today as well. Be done with it. I want my treasure. Nice. Hold on, I look at that and you're laughing. That's a bad idea. Why are you laughing? Are you saying I'm going to lose my pickaxe? Ah well, we'll find out. Don't tell me. It'll be right. I'm going to try it anyway. Because if I can get to the second pickaxe, yeah. Want it. Alright, this is where we stop walking automatically, my dear Shade, and you follow where I say. Excuse me, my nose. So I'm curious, is the human malware virus that is plaguing the world at the moment affecting where you're living at the moment or not, Dark? Yes, I spoke with the face. That was really cool. There's the glitch. Yeah, the one that virtually every social media can't actually mention, yeah. One set of YouTubers has been calling it human malware. Oh, Israel. Wow. So you're in major quarantine sort of thing, or it's just cautionary tales at the moment? Okay, here we are. Okay, defeated. Alright. Right. Okay, so up on the cliff there is an actual... Okay. Let's have a look, see. Yeah. Our main concern in Australia at the moment is the amount of idiots that are buying up supplies when they don't need to. Our shopping, our stores and everything are like bare because you can't stock enough supply of all the basic things quick enough. It's lots of bullshit at the moment. One of the many things. Yeah, hysteria is the only way to call it. Lots of people with lots of crazy ideas of one thing or another at the moment. Oh yeah, major overreaction. Oh, I can jump. Ah, because the moss is... Right, okay, I'm with you now. The moss is there and it'll help you fall. Okay, with it 110%. Ooh, some shiny rocks. The beauty of the waterfall reminds me of why I love to serve the king. Okay. Okay, so we can beat up crystals and get them. That's fine. Let's see what else we learn. More crystals. Oh, this is very deep. Once the king is awakened, all the beauty will be immortalized forever. Okay. La da 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 da. Yeah. I think the thing that epitomates the amount of hysteria is the fact that toilet paper was the first thing everyone ran out to get unending supplies of it. I think that's the one thing that everyone can agree on is just the craziest point. I cannot understand people's belief that we're all going to suffer. Yeah. Of course, unfortunately, when you live in a country like Australia, it's probably one of the bigger jokes of all things where we just make an even bigger joke about it. And I once dreamed that I was king myself. What a beautiful dream that was. Thank you, Shade. But, yeah, so like one way to protect ourselves from the virus was, of course, alcohol. So our thoughts are, okay, we're just going to intravenously feed ourselves alcohol and we'll be fine. Or another one was a meme where people were wrapped up in toilet paper so that they can be safe from the virus. At the moment, they're talking about quarantining schools. There's an up and end way about it. Some people say that schools are going to be quarantined. Other people say they're not going to be. So, who knows? Something will happen. Alrighty, more stuff. Some chalk. Piece of chalk. Yep. Alrighty. This has been a stupendous day of exploring. Thank you, Dark, for telling me about the moss, because I never would have gone back there and thought about it. I feel more stupid for the fact that I don't do what this game asks you to do the most of, which is going back and looking at things over and over again. The one thing I've learnt most about this game, if you don't spend time looking into things, you never find them. Oh, here we are. Pick up. A handy mattock, useful for harvesting minerals and for breaking through fragile walls. I now have 2. Hold on, get back here. Alright. Yeah, only about 80% of the population is really at danger. 20, sorry. 80% of the population is mostly alright. There is like 5 or 10% of the entire population that is in mortal danger. And yeah, it's a very minor thing. It's like our Prime Minister said in one of his speeches to the nation at one point, is that a lot of people are going to get sick, but it's only going to be a really unpleasant flu sort of thing. After that, it's all going to be fine, but you're just going to have that unpleasant thing for the moment. Other than that, everything is fine, and it is. The only problem is the secondary carryover to people that are more at risk. So those that are in hospital, those that are of a certain age. Like, I'm a Freemason myself, and I help out with my lodge at many occasions. We actually also had to do a barbecue earlier this week, on Friday, tomorrow. And we had to pull out of that because the majority of the members that are there are old and couldn't actually be in contact with people that well, and also on top of that, it's a health risk to run a food store with that happening at the same time, when we're sort of possibilities of transmission and contracting are all very, very high. So yeah, that's a really bummer thing at the moment. Even Freemason Lodge in my area, they've closed down for the next 3 months. And you can't go near, we can't gather around, there's talk of gatherings and whatnot. Yeah, that's so true. We don't. We're sheep. That is probably the worst part about human race as all. They are a sheep-like race. One does it, the others follow. The one that's finished doing what he does goes back to something else. The others, even if they haven't had a chance to do something, will just turn around and follow the first sheep back to whatever they're doing. So, yeah, sheep mentality is a very big danger in society as all. It comes from being a herd, it comes from being what we are. In this current age, we have done something very good. We have created the ability to communicate. Not great, but we're doing better than what we've done in other ages. It's just we have to learn to a point to understand how our communications affect each other. I think one day we'll figure that out, but at the moment, no. Society as a whole is kind of dumb. Tick, tock, tick, tock, tock, tick, tick, tock. I am so ecstatic today. Getting another part of this game done makes me feel good. Indeed. There's a reason why parishioners call their little gatherings a flock. too many times for the good and the bad. Too many good things and too many bad things. I think it would be nice if at some point people could actually read Twitter and not get triggered. That would be really extraordinary. One day in the year where everyone reads something on Twitter and just doesn't explode. Like, what was it? The thing that I didn't explode about it, but I read it and my brain just kind of shut down. It was Gwyneth Paltrow has a vagina scented candle and it got sold out, and my brain just went into overdrive, and I was there at the keyboard and I'm going, okay, I'm going to, and then I thought, what's the point? Someone was dumb enough to actually buy it, so at this point in time I'm just going to step back. But no, my brain just shut down with that concept of, yes, this is a candle that smells of women's parts. I'm really hoping it's not the menstruation women's parts thing, because I don't care who you are, the smell of blood is the most horrible thing to have to smell, and when it coagulates or anything like that, it's even worse. And I've had the unfortunate pleasure of being able to have to help people in those situations and whatnot, and deal with vomit and deal with all sorts of things before, or dealing with someone that's just exploded with blood from a nosebleed, or have cut something wrong on their body and whatnot, and the smell of blood, no, I can't stand it myself. It's just a really offensive and horrible smell that no one should have to put up with, and unfortunately women have to put up with it, and I really wish the human body wasn't so gross sometimes. But here you are, as a human being. Hold on. Oh, that's something I didn't notice. All the borders and everything, they're written in Celtic. Or some sort of old writing? Maybe Norse. It is written in a certain Norse writing, I think. Come on, give me my crystal. That will be my last crystal. Another achievement in my bag. And go, yes! Takes so long to dig anything up. Yeah, I've got Twitter. Can't use Twitter in Israel. Or better yet, is it a thing that's avoided, perhaps? Okay, this is the $21,000 question. How old are you? Because I'm gathering that there are two possibilities. I'm 43, so I know how old I am. I know what I would be doing. Yeah, 30s, yeah. Okay, that says it all. Yeah, the younger people, they use Twitter and go, oh yes, Twitter. And the older people will go, Twitter, yeah. As for the people that are in the 30 years bracket, who are like 10 years less than me, they won't touch Twitter with a barge pole. Mind you, a lot of them touch Facebook. Go figure. Mind you, the one place I actually like when we're talking socializing and everything like that online, I like Discord. Discord I actually like because you can actually deal with people in a relatively normal fashion. Twitter, you can't argue with anyone because there's no point. I think the only reason I have a Twitter account is because I'm running YouTube videos and whatnot, and I just post them. And I also attach it to this account so that whenever I run live game, it goes straight up to Twitter and so on and so forth. But yeah, people in a certain age bracket will not touch Twitter. And the only reason I have Twitter is just because I'm trying to make myself into something with this. I think most celebrities have Twitter because of their fans. And most of their fans are young. I don't think I'm overly young myself, but some days I get told I'm... Actually, the funnier thing is, I get asked for ID so often still. And it's still just one of those funny things. Okay. Like, Facebook has definitely made its own mark in life. Twitter... I think Twitter doesn't work because it's a very finite sort of thing. Like, people that talk in, say, you know, in that really gobbledygook shorthand speak where they replace letters or abbreviations or emojis to send information from one to the other. I think that's where that occurs, but for me, I preferred Facebook. It gave the ability to give a greater scope, and also it helps me. Yes, got the crystal. It helps me because my writing is not 100% when it comes to spelling. My spelling structure is good up to a point. It's limited because of other things and whatnot. But, yeah. Twitter, I just have it mainly because I have to sort of socialise. Oh yeah, emojis. Emojis are one of those really interesting things that occurs. Because the funny thing is, human... Oh yeah, GIF communications. Yeah, that one's fracked. I will never understand how people can communicate in GIFs. Really? Why would I want more than one crystal from here? Coal. Question is, can I use it on these ones? Nope, only these ones. It will take some time. Because really, in my mindset, the only thing I've ever done is one crystal. Oh well. We'll find out what happens. But yeah, I love how emojis can convey so much information so quickly. But at the same time, it can create the biggest amount of confusion so quickly as well. Because I live in a household of people that have varying communications problems, and this is not being through unable to speak or having difficulty in understanding or comprehension. It's more, a lot of them are what is classified as ASD or autistic, and by autistic I mean high functioning people that have understandings about things and whatnot. Now, the problem about communicating with them is that they will interpret everything that you put forth to them in varying methods. Some will understand exactly what context you will mean, where others, the context of the emoji won't make any sense to them. So, say if you're trying to say something that's sarcastic, they will instantly not understand what you're trying to say. So, they will interpret the funny emoji as funny, not funny as in ha. It will be a light-hearted thing to them, even though in reality you're trying to portray a different information. So, yeah. But emojis are very interesting. I find all our level of text communications, written communications, emoji communications and whatnot, it's all messed up. And at the end of the day, it's all down to English being such a difficult language in its own right. Because what is the main language structure in Israel? Like, you've got both sides, you've got the Palestinians and the Jews, but there would be one communication that would be more prevalent than the other, but then again, maybe not, because there's so much diversity there. So you'd have Arabic on one side and then you'd have Hebrew on the other. That must make it very hard to live there. Yeah, visual communication. Actually, I had a discussion with a teacher that I was learning graphic design off once about that. And the really interesting thing about emojis, or even just graphical representation of ideas and whatnot, that we actually do this as a common thing. Like, you take this game, for example, the little hourglass we know represents time. We know that the candle represents light, and we know all these other things. And yeah, there is a universal understanding that this one symbol will generate the current understanding from it. But yeah, I think it makes it difficult sometimes, though, if you speak only in that mannerism. Sometimes you have to be able to articulate in a more broad sense. But yeah, it's an amazing thing how we communicate. Hold on, Russian? Really? In Israel, Russian? I never would have guessed that. Okay, well, that's something new for my day. Oh, dear. Pardon me. Why did you click up? 30% is Russian. Oh, that's fascinating. That really is fascinating. Like, I would think Turkish would be more logical in that kind of, in the general sphere. Like, I know, like, Russia is like this huge, massive conglomerate of spacing, but yeah, that's so fascinating. I really can't talk because I live in a country where, like, you could say it's mostly white fellas, but at the same time, you've got the white Australians and you've got the Asians who are right across the board of all the different Asian types, and then you've got Indians, you've got so many things here. A lot of Soviet Jews went to Israel. Wow. Went all the way back to the mother country. Wow. Fascinating. That is so strange. But at the same time, yeah, that speaks and says a lot of things, because the Soviet Union crumbled and everything went to pieces. I remember being a little kid when the wall went down, and it was such a fascinating thing to see the wall getting destroyed by people so happy. And the world just changed that day. And then 9/11 happened. I woke up to watch that, and the world kind of changed again to this kind of scared little baby child of things. And misinformation became more prevalent. Actually, that would make it that 9/11 actually changed everything back to a Cold War status, where everyone was scared of terrorists and all that crap. Yeah. Yeah. So many people just ostracized from each other, and only because of some douchebag in one side and another douchebag on the other side having this belief that they had a right to be one side or the other. Yeah, I agree with that. The Chinese have a saying, and it's a saying to curse someone with, and the curse goes along the lines of, "May you live in interesting times." And by that they mean that you live in troubled or turbulent times and your life be hell and stuff like that. Because a lot of Chinese, Japanese or Asian sort of insults or curses to other people are very complex. And yeah, I personally like living in interesting times myself, because more strange things happen in interesting times than they do in any other time. If you're patient enough and quiet enough, you can find the most interesting things happen around you. But the minute you get upset or something like that, it just goes to pieces. Come on, Shade. Incidentally, I gave my shade the name George. Did you give your shade a different name by chance? Because I like George. And there's this little glitch. Oh, we're nearly done. Come on. I think I'll end it for... I think I'll get this crystal and then I'll go for a wander back down. Hello, Shade. I actually found it quite interesting that I put these videos up on YouTube and a lot of people are actually watching them, which I didn't think would happen with a game like this. But stranger things have happened. I had to go looking back at Markiplier and a whole lot of other YouTubers, and I noticed that a lot of their sort of jump in viewerage and sort of real prevalence and was when they started doing horror games. And they did reaction videos where they did the screaming and everything, and it's like, oh god, oh, screaming. And I think about that nowadays, and I have one child who absolutely loves those, and he makes so many noises because of it. possibly gets people hooked. I don't know. Alright, I'll go collect this crystal, and then I'm going to go back to my hovel, and I think I'll end the stream for today. This one goes right up on my wall at home. Alright, let's head for the homestead and see what we get now. Definitely come back for more crystals. So, you played The Longing. Do you play any other particular games? I unfortunately have probably more games than I should. I think my latest count is up to 700 and something games that I have in my collection. That's not including all the other games I've played in my lifetime. I do like puzzle games though. Puzzle games always fascinate me more than any. Like the Room series has always been really good. I think mainly because it's a good puzzle game, but it's also a good sort of 3D game as well. Wow, that took me 20 minutes of time to get all that done. Tell you one thing, once I've finished doing this entire game, I'm going to write up a little thing. Zachtronics. Zachtronics. Ooh, that sounds fascinating. Let's do a little quick look at that. Is it on Steam? Wink. Wink. Indeed it is. Wink. What do we got? Oh, it's a... Oh, I have that. I have Infinifactory. I love that game. Absolutely love it. I'm not a great fan of Opus Magnum. That's... Dun, dun, dun. I got a free copy of Exapunks from... what's the name? From Humble Bundle, actually. Last week. Yeah, I play so many indie games, it's not funny. I really am a great indie game fan. Like, I'm working on one myself, but God knows when it will ever be done. But, yeah. That's on the never-ending to-do list of things to do one day. Ah, but my shade is doing well. Yeah, you have to pick and choose your AAA games. There are some that are definite worthwhiles to play, and then there are others that are just not worth your time. Like, I am going to pick up a copy of Doom when it drops down in price enough, the new one, the Doom Eternal, because it's a great game. It looks good, it plays well, and it's just really worth the time. But yeah, I think the main reason why I play mostly indie games is not so much because they're independent developers or whatnot. It's because indie games hold indie games hold this sort of rare thing amongst it all. And it's the thing that indie games have that overshadows AAA games and is more reasonable nowadays is because A, they cost less, B, they're developed better. They are really developed better a lot of times. I want to use... The treasure is behind a nearly impenetrable glass wall. Not that I can make much use of it anyway. Come on, give me... You're not going to let me use my manic, are you? Bastard! But the real thing that pulls me to indie games is that in that development of these little games with small groups of people, you get so much more colour and interesting things that are developed in games. Like, the most prevalent, especially for this one, is that the animations are done better. The graphics are done better than they are done in so many other things. A different spot. Okay. No, I'm going home. I will do that for another stream tomorrow. I'll go home today and then I'll sort it out later. Alright. But, yeah, I think there is more value to your money. Like, you play something like Stardew Valley, and that is so well done. There are so many really great bits of time spent in that game that the more you play it, the more you discover. The more you do in it, the more it is. If that was any other AAA title, nearly every part of that game would be broken up into DLCs at some point or another. Or by now, there would be a Stardew Valley with X amount of things on top of it. And people like Digital Revolver, Chucklefish, and a few others, they're putting and backing a lot of these indie developers of games that are so fantastic and so much worth their time. And it's unbelievable. Like, Enter the Gungeon. Enter the Gungeon is a fast-paced, really interesting game, but it's so much fun and so much time you can spend in it, and you're losing it and you just go, oh. It was funny, I bought Stardew Valley, and I think it wasn't until a year after I bought Stardew Valley that I started hearing people talk about and saying how good it was, and I'm thinking, but I bought that game and I already know how good it is. And I think that's where I started understanding where I was going to put myself as something to do with more of my time, and it was reviewing games, looking at games, playing games, showing games to people, because there are so many games. Like, this game would be lost right into the isthmus of the internet itself, and no one would know about this game unless someone sat up and actually talked about it. And I think that's what a lot of Twitch, Mixer, even YouTube is really the best thing for. It tells people about these really interesting games and these really interesting things that are well worth your time. What do we got? Synthitex. Is that a time-based one? I can't remember. Copy. Go to Steam. Ah, yeah, I've seen this one, but I hadn't bought it because I was looking at it and going, yeah, I don't know if I want to spend money on it yet. Synthetex. That might be worth my time. This tells me that there is a different colour to find somewhere. Anyway, let's have a look-see in a book. I will sit George down. We'll read a book. And I think I got him to read all the way through Fables at some point. Dunk, 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 dunk. Through we go. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. Nope, nothing written in that. Alright. For the interim, I will get him to read the first section of the Iliad. Bump. And George can sit there and read that. I, on the other hand, am done for the day, and I thank you very much for watching. Thank you, Dark Cyril. I hope you're having a fabulous time, and try and stay out of the trials and tribulations of the human malware virus. And I hope you're having a fun time, and I will see everyone on the next stream. Bye for now.